Senator Jacky Rosen asks the Secretary of Defense whether extremists and social media influencers are shaping Pentagon decisions. What should have been a simple denial turns into deflection, anger, and a smirk. Stay with this, because what's revealed here is how institutions quietly start to rot.
Senator Rosen, you're recognized. I thought I would just create a stir down there.
No, I thank you to my seatmates on both sides. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We take care of each other. And again, thank you, Chairman Wicker, Ranking Member Reed, for holding this hearing, Mr. Secretary. We have a short amount of time, so I'm just going to ask a few simple questions, and I would just appreciate if for some of them, you would just answer yes or no. And so, Secretary Hegseth, would you agree that every senior official in the Department of Defense must reflect the values and conduct that our service members must uphold and our citizens expect?
Senator, we want to uphold the highest possible standards.
I'll take that for a yes. So would you also agree, then, that anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories have no place in our government or military? Yes or no?
They should not.
Thank you. So would you also agree that anyone who has posted, and I'm going to quote, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories lifted right out of a neo-Nazi playbook, end quote, shouldn't be anywhere near a position of power? Yes or no?
Since I don't believe the characterization of many officials in the news media, I would need to see precisely what's being characterized.
But generally, would you not say that if
generally
we
speaking,
thought something
sure,
was coming out of a neo-Nazi playbook, it doesn't have any place in our Department of Defense? Now, Secretary Hegseth, the quote that I just read you was referencing Ms. Kingsley Wilson, the DOD press secretary. It's a direct quote from her, who my Republican colleagues on this committee have also expressed alarm over due to her comments. In fact, one colleague said, and I'm going to quote again, "Obviously, I don't agree with her comments. I trust the Pentagon will address this," end quote. However, in the months since, not only have you not addressed these anti-Semitic comments, you have promoted Ms. Wilson. This seems to be at odds, honestly, with President Trump's commitment, very public commitment, to combat anti-Semitism, which you just said you too agreed with. So, Secretary Hegseth, given the rise in anti-Semitic violence, hate crimes in our nation, and to show that the Trump administration, your administration, does have a zero-tolerance policy for anti-Semitism, will you dismiss Ms. Kingsley from her role as a U.S. military spokesperson today, yes or no?
Again, that's why I referenced the context and characterization.
Well, we'll send you the quote,
I've worked
sir.
directly with her. She does a fantastic job, and there's any suggestion that I or her or others are party to anti-Semitism is a mischaracterization attempting to win political points.
Sir, and I'm going to say
Senator,
that
you're
your
attempting
lack
to
of
win
an
political
answer
points on the backs of
confirms what we've
mischaracterizing
known
the
all
statements of a
along.
member
The Trump
of my
administration
department,
is not serious.
and I'm not going to stand for that.
You are not a serious person. You are not serious about rooting out, fighting anti-Semitism within the ranks of our DOD. It's despicable. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to move on to General Hawk. The sudden and inexplicable dismissal of General Hawk. He serves both director of the National Security Agency, commander of U.S. Cybercom. It's deeply concerning, raises significant questions about the decision-making process, its potential consequences. Public reports indicate that the removal of General Hawk, who has served his country proudly, has been influenced by social media influencer, a personality on social media, Laura Loomer, spreads conspiracy theories. She's been denounced even by Republicans. And the idea is that any leaders within our agencies responsible for our nation's security, somebody would be dismissed based on the advice of a social media influencer, is alarming to say the least. It's surely not how we should be running our military. So were you consulted regarding General Hawk's dismissal, yes or no?
Well, Senator, I would not advise believing everything you read in the media. And I'm consulted on every single decision.
Okay,
I'm the decision maker for the department, and we all serve at the pleasure of the president. And we have the prerogative to make those decisions for the best for the country.
Did you personally approve Mr. Hawk's dismissal, yes or no?
Anyone coming or going at the Defense Department, especially at that level, would ultimately be a decision made by me, and I stand behind that.
Did you personally relieve him? Did you personally relieve him? Yes or no?
Anyone at that level
You did,
who is
so that's a
relieved
yes.
would be relieved by the Secretary of Defense.
Was there a specific justification for General Hawk's dismissal? Was there a specific justification for General Hawk's dismissal?
Ma'am, we all serve at the pleasure of the president, and the president deserves the type of
true?
commanders and advisors that he thinks will best
Did you
equip him
discuss General
to
Hawk's
accomplish the
dismissal with
mission.
Laura Loomer prior to his removal?
I don't discuss who I talk about anything with, but ultimately this is my decision, and he serves at the pleasure of the president, and that's why he's no longer there.
So do you believe it's appropriate for any social media personality to influence personnel decisions in your department, yes or no?
I believe your time is up, Senator.
Oh, it is not up to you to tell me when my time is up.
Well, the time
And I
of
am
the
going to say,
senator-
Mr. Secretary, you're either feckless or complicit. You're not in control of your department. You're as unserious. It is shocking. You're not combating anti-Semitism within your ranks. It's a dangerous and pivotal time in our nation's history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. And I don't appreciate the smirk, sir. You are the Secretary of Defense.
The time.
What you're witnessing in this exchange isn't just a heated argument. It's a collision between institutional norms and political loyalty, and it exposes how fragile those norms can become when leadership refuses to draw clear lines. Senator Jacky Rosen begins by doing something very intentional. She lowers the temperature. She thanks her colleagues. She acknowledges the hearing structure. That's not accidental. She's signaling that what comes next is serious, not performative. Then she establishes the foundation of her questioning. Senior officials at the Department of Defense don't just manage policy, they model behavior. The military is one of the few institutions in American life where ethical standards aren't optional. Service members are expected to live by codes of conduct that follow them on and off duty. When leadership violates those standards, the consequences ripple downward. From there, Rosen moves to first principles. Anti-Semitism has no place in government or the military. This should be the easiest agreement in Washington. And at first, the secretary seems willing to nod along. But everything changes when principles meet specifics. Rosen introduces documented statements made by Kingsley Wilson, the Pentagon's press secretary, statements that echo long-standing anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Importantly, Rosen isn't relying on partisan outrage or activist interpretation. She cites concerns raised by Republicans on the same committee. That matters because it removes the escape hatch of partisan dismissal. Here's where the real lesson begins. Institutions don't collapse because of one offensive comment. They erode when leaders decide that enforcement of standards depends on who violated them. Instead of addressing the substance of the statements, the secretary reframes the issue as media distortion and political opportunism. That move does more than deflect criticism. It signals to everyone watching that loyalty outweighs conduct. Rosen highlights the contradiction plainly. If there is truly zero tolerance for anti-Semitism, why was this official promoted rather than disciplined? The question forces a choice between values and power. The secretary chooses power. His response isn't just defensive, it's dismissive. He accuses Rosen of bad faith. He frames accountability itself as an attack. That's a critical moment because when leaders respond to ethical concerns with personal hostility, it chills future oversight. Others take note. Silence becomes safer than scrutiny. Rosen then pivots to something even more consequential, the sudden removal of General Timothy Haw, the head of the National Security Agency and U.S. Cyber Command. This isn't a ceremonial role. This is the nerve center of American cyber warfare, intelligence gathering, and digital defense. Reports suggest that a social media influencer known for conspiracy theories and extremist rhetoric may have played a role in shaping the environment around his dismissal. Even the possibility of that should alarm anyone who understands how national security is supposed to function. Rosen's point isn't that influencers exist, it's that decision-making at the highest levels of the military is supposed to be insulated from viral pressure, ideological crusades, and online mobs. When that insulation cracks, professionalism gives way to chaos. She asks again, carefully and clearly, "Were you consulted?" The secretary initially dismisses media reports, then asserts something striking, that he is consulted on every decision and personally relieved the general. In trying to project authority, he confirms accountability. But when Rosen asks whether a social media personality was consulted, the transparency stops. He refuses to answer, hiding behind hierarchy rather than explanation. That refusal teaches the audience something important. Power without transparency isn't strength, it's fragility. Rosen's final assessment cuts because it names the dilemma out loud. Either the secretary isn't in control of his department, or he is in control and endorses a process influenced by extremist voices. There is no third option. Calling him feckless or complicit isn't an insult, it's a logical conclusion. And then there's the smirk. That moment may seem minor, but it isn't. In leadership, demeanor is data. When leaders smirk in the face of concerns about extremism, anti-Semitism, and national security, it communicates contempt for oversight itself. It tells critics they are not worth answering, and supporters that rules are flexible if you're on the right side. This exchange teaches a broader lesson about how democracies weaken, not through coups or tanks in the streets, but through normalization, through unanswered questions, through the slow replacement of standards with loyalty tests. Personnel decisions are policy. Tone is policy. What leaders refuse to condemn becomes permission. Senator Jacky Rosen asks the Secretary of Defense whether extremists and social media influencers are shaping Pentagon decisions. What should have been a simple denial turns into deflection, anger, and a smirk. Stay with this, because what's revealed here is how institutions quietly start to rot.